Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So, I know it's been a while, but I am here to update you guys on the status of my little machinima project. So, despite hours and hours and hours of hard work, I have actually managed to finish, or at least mostly finish. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, mostly finish my Hercules. Okay, is there a pipe missing over there? Oh no, that's right. I switched that over to a conveyor so that way the... Yeah. No, I didn't. It needs to be a conveyor right there. There's a conveyor there. Yeah. That needs to be a conveyor. Two conveyors there. Like I said, I've mostly finished it. It's been piped up for oxygen, and it has its own refineries and all that. Is that... It's doing exactly what I think it's doing, isn't it? Son of a... Okay, Gatling turrets. Okay, good. I've got one of those on the list. Tell you what, people. So, but yeah, everything has been piped up. Everything is ready to go. And we are almost... ready to start recording. One of the more recent updates for the game has come out with so yeah, because if I disconnect any of that, dang it, so that was my fault. So yeah, one of the recent updates has come out with the one thing that I was really kind of primarily waiting on, a walking animation, because, you know, just running around everywhere, especially when you're trying to do a video, is kind of like, you know, you don't really want everybody running all the time. Okay. So there'll be two turrets not on my list of turrets here. So shut those two off, and I've got to go back inside. So I will give you guys a tour of the ship. Now I will point out that I will be disconnecting the landing gears because there's really no need for them, but for the time being they are working. So as you can see, now I'm a little bit worried about the top because there's not really a lot of like protection, like gun wise, up on the top, and really on the side all you have is the two missile turrets and the one side turret, and of course you got the two gun turrets on the back. Enough thrust to move this thing. Just seriously, dude, this thing is like, it's not the fastest thing on the planet, but it does move. So it's got those four engines there for upward thrust, plus two little ones on either side, because of course basically anybody who's looking at this going, man, all of this stuff looks really familiar, I'm going to tell you, okay, I'm terrible at designing my own ships. Wait a minute, there's supposed to be slopes there. Oh man. Okay, so still not quite finished. Yeah, I'm terrible at designing my own ships. And what I did was I took the military transport and two military escorts and basically merged blocks of them together to create this. I don't know. Should I smooth that out all the way around? Yeah. As you can see, I extended that out a little bit. So basically, if you want to think about this in a different way, instead of thinking about this as like something I created, consider it like this. This is what a heavy assault vehicle would look like. I'll show you guys the interior as soon as I figure out what I want to do with this. I'm thinking, because that's obviously going to have to go there. See, I think we'll go ahead and, although I could leave it all spiky like that, it would make it look a little bit more rakish. Give it a bit more of an aggressive look. Spikes coming out. I don't know. I'll decide on something about that later. So, let us go inside. Now, I'm not 100% certain I'm going to keep the glass. Right? So, that might get changed. But, as you see, it does have gravity. You'll notice it's got 2.0. That's because I have a gravity generator down underneath there. Defensive turret at the door. Defensive turret at the door. The only downside, of course, to these turrets is that where they might be able to, might both be able to see you if you were approaching it. Once you get over to one side or the other, you know, you're only going to have to face one turret instead of two. So I was debating on moving them slightly farther forward, but you know, I don't know. I just like the idea of somebody rushing up here real quick and like trying to open the door and find out that it's a death trap waiting to happen. So now this area here, I was gonna put in a sensory system for friendly players. So there would be a sensor here that would depressurize the room and then open the door. But until they fix this little glitch, which I'm kind of hoping they don't, so long as you're in a 1x1 area, there's really no pressure in this room. Right? So you notice how it kind of fluctuates around. So yeah, I'm hoping they don't really change that. Now you'll notice this definitely looks a tiny bit different. So there is still the turret there, right? But there's a door, a mysterious door, right? And a hallway and the shaft. So all of this you guys will recognize, but this you won't, because this is the new bridge. 3 abreast seating. All right. The monitors for external view, hopefully at some point they'll allow us to be able to connect the monitors to cameras, and if they do that, then I'll probably put some cameras on the outside so you have this nice little view of the world outside. And then event, obviously cordoned off sections. There's another entrance over there to the bridge. Thank you. And if we come down here, now this shaft does not go where you think it goes. This shaft so no more storage container. Now there is a large reactor. There's 2 of those on either side. But this shaft now heads towards this sort of junction area. This side, This side heads to one of the maintenance areas for... Is that piped up? I don't think that assembler is piped up. If it is, I don't know where the heck it's piped up at. Oh, okay, it must be piped up. No, because that's a block there. Huh, I'm going to have to go through that. But one maintenance area and the other side. This is all mirrored, so you know, if you want to see the other side, I can show you the other side, but, you know. So where the old bridge used to be, come up here, you go, hey, wait, there's a shaft, not a door. Mon Dieu. Well, if you come down here, I'd kind of envision this as a set of living quarters. Very small living quarters, but, you know, you're military, so live with it. I might expand it a little bit by putting in a slant there. So, doing something like... Come on. Rotate properly. There. Doing something like that. So that way it kind of feels like you have a little bit more space. There is a vent down here so that this area has oxygen flowing through it, not just when the doors are opened and closed, when the whole rest of the ship is piped up and all that stuff. So, and as I said, there's a mirrored side on this side as well. So let's go ahead and actually mirror that. There we go. Oh yeah, that's why I didn't do that, because if I did that, then you'd have the large storage container there. And those storage containers do not act as sealed areas. So that's the reason why I had the square blocks, was because otherwise this area would not be sealed off. Which, of course, brings us neatly on to the next area that we need to visit. So if you will follow me. I think that other turret was on too. So we still have this storage container here. I'm probably going to end up getting rid of that just because it is kind of in the way. As you can see, I've made some adjustments to the hallway here and here. Nothing special, nothing major. There is a bit of piping work going on, so I'll show you guys that real quick before we get on to the main area that you guys are really going to want to see, which is that down there. I'm not going to show you that. So I have the reactors piped up, so both sides have access to that area. All of that back there is all the piping that runs into that large storage container, and everything there and thereabouts. I'm a little bit curious. I don't really know what to do with this area here. I want to do something with it. It's just a little bit too empty, especially for a ship that you're going to be on by yourself. So come back down here, come up here, and the first thing you're going to notice is there's no door here. And that's because the door is here. Now there's no door here for, I don't know why. I guess I could have in theory left the door in there, but I didn't. And if you're wondering why this cargo container is here, it's so that way you don't have to walk over this death trap area here to get to that cargo container, right? So that's the only reason I did that. I had planned on running some pipes through there, but then I realized that that was going to be a terrible idea because that's where the hallway was and all that. So that's probably why I left those doors off. Massive reactor here. Those right there are arc furnaces. So it's got 2 arc furnaces in. It is all piped up. You probably won't be able to see it because I have it blocked off with those, but everything is piped up to those arc furnaces there. That all goes underneath there and then links up here. So as you can see, conveyors and pipes and stuff like that up into here, into this conveyor, into this storage container, and into this storage container. So everything in this ship is piped up. The oxygen system, as you can see, there are 2 tanks there with the vent, right? And 2 tanks there with the vent, and then an oxygen maker and an oxygen maker there. And all of those, as you can see, are piped up here, down there, and back behind all of that to link up to the rest of the system. And wait a minute, are they? Yeah, because that's gonna go, because yeah, that conveyor, I don't know if you guys can see that right there where the crosshair is. There's a pipe that goes down back behind that and like does some wiggly bits and reattaches to the storage container. So I was gonna put in the arrow blocks, right? So that that way everything would like automatically pull. But I found that there's a small problem. I don't know if it's been addressed yet, but the thing is, when you have the arrow blocks, so if I had arrow blocks here and here to move any ice that I had into the oxygen makers, it would not allow the oxygen to come back. I'm not 100% certain why. I guess it was viewing the oxygen as an actual thing, not a gas. So I don't know what was going on there. So I decided just to go ahead and opt it out, and you can literally access anything on the ship from this storage container here. So let's see. Go here. Oxygen generator. So as you can see, I can't put that in there because of course it's not ice, but I have access to anything that would be in these because of course it's not like grayed out or anything like that because it's all piped together. So it's a little bit more cumbersome, but you know, in the realm of the story, it's an old ship, and it was an old military ship, so convenience was maybe not the most the highest thing on the list. You know, this thing was built specifically for the purposes of getting you where you needed to go and attacking whatever you needed to attack. So for the basis of the story, it will work nicely. And that brings us finally and neatly on to the very last thing, the med bay. So obviously, as you can see, I have placed it on this platform, right? I wanted to put something underneath the platform because, I mean, I know this looks a little bit like, wow, this thing is huge and there's no way it could stand up like that on its own. But hey, it's future metals, and you know, they're insanely resilient and very strong and durable. Basically, the problem is this underneath here is counting as the block, so that way I could put the medical lab there. I do wish these planks here were thinner, if that makes any sense. So like they didn't take up a full square block shape. So like that. Like, I mean, I wish they weren't that big because they're actually not. It does kind of throw things off a bit. But yeah, this thing is pretty much set up for being able to work. It's pretty much ready to go. I will look into making a blueprint of it and post it up on the Steam Workshop. And with the new walking animation, like I said, hopefully I'll get around to starting to do some recording pretty soon, which will be nice. Oh, excuse me. And we can kind of get the ball rolling. Like I said, I mean, I've worked a little bit on the story. I've got a rough idea as to how everything works and how everything's going to go for the most part. So, that's what you guys want. You want to see me fly this thing. So, like I said, I will probably end up taking off the landing gears because that I know of to date, landing gears do still have the problem of causing massive explosions when you try and do stuff with them. Other than, you know, attach things. So come down here. the captain's chair. Make sure the landing gears are off. Yeah, I'll give you guys an idea of how big this thing is in a second. Yeah, this thing does not like to go quickly. It also doesn't slow down very quickly either because, as you'll note, I have way more engines on the back than I do on the front. I do facing forward. So it's not the fastest thing at slowing around. Although, that said, it's not exactly the worst thing in the world at turning. I probably could do with a few more gyros. But, you know. So yeah, this thing is huge. Anybody who's played around with the military transports can tell you just how big this thing really is. So there you go, full power. It is a bit laggish. So I mean, it accelerates at about 1 meter a second. Which I think is a very small price to pay for something with this kind of firepower. So let us get ourselves pointed. I would go after that military haul, that mining hauler, but actually, you know what? Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. We'll save real quick. Damn it. So I need inertial dampers off. I need inertial dampers on so I can point towards this thing first. And then I need to go dampers off. Okay. Gatling turrets on. This turret's on. And then I need to select the Gatling turrets and then come down here and select these two Gatling turrets. Oh, that's what you're doing. Okay. I was wondering why you kept having a problem with that. Because I hit the wrong doggone button. Okay, save. Yeah, you see all those lasers? This thing is armed to the teeth. So let's see how she does in combat. I should also point out that I am terrible when it comes to doing this combat stuff. I mean, look at the mass of this thing. Good Lord, 8 million kilograms. This thing is not by any means a lightweight. And all the weapon systems are piped up as well. So if you had, so what you could do is you could queue up bucket loads of weapons, ammunition, and it would it should automatically pipe to the weapon systems. So all the guns and everything are piped up, all of them, which is why I was kind of debating whether or not I wanted to add more. If I did, I'd probably add maybe a missile turret and 2 more Gatling turrets to the back. So we'll roll over so we get a good view of this thing. I gotta hand it to that one little turret, man. He's got eyes. So maybe I might add a few more gyros onto this thing. So far, it's doing pretty good. We've definitely suffered some damage, although I couldn't exactly tell you where. And you get those missile turrets into range. No, one of my front turrets. Both of my front turrets. They're damaged. This atrocity will not stand. Yeah. We'll, I'll add a few more gyros onto this thing. Awesome! It turned green! How cool is that? I'm gonna take it to mean that all of the weapon systems on that thing are now disabled. So we'll shut off our Gatlings, shut off our missiles, and show you guys the primary reason why I might consider leaving the landing gears on this thing. As dangerous as it may be, I gotta say, she took a pretty hefty beating, but yeah, dude. So I want to close in on him. But I suspect... So I figured out a little trick, right? Which I'm going to demonstrate to you guys. So in the past, some of these ships were booby trapped, right? I'm obviously not going to keep this safe. I lost one of my rear guns. No. So in the past, a lot of these ships were like booby trapped. And kind of sucked, right? So there's two ways I found around these little booby traps. The first which is really hard to do on this ship because if you see the thruster count, it's 74. Oh, that's awesome. But the first way I found to get around the little problem originally was I built a ship whose sole purpose was to reach other ships and slow them down. To do that, I used the then still partially functioning... come on. Note to self, more thrusters. I say, that little thing put up one heck of a fight. So you would think that... Okay, there we go. So, first thing I found was that if you take the ship, you take a ship, don't really care about that bit, bam, I hit that. So now both ships are moving at the same speed. Well, if I turn on the inertial dampers on this ship, yeah, it kind of goes a little bit out of control, but it will eventually slow the other ship down and stop it. So I can now do a safety check to make sure this thing is working properly and all that, or just, as I used to do, tug it back to base. Which is why the first ship I made, like, for this job was called the Tug. It had massive amounts of engines and was basically designed to slow a ship down and, if need be, thrust it back towards base. The second thing I found later on was, in order to set off the explosive, which is usually attached to the inertial dampener. So when you turn the inertial dampers on, the engine fires, and when the engine fires, it detonates the mine. If you count the number of engines on the ship, you will usually find that, like, if you count 13 engines on the side of the ship and the thruster count on the ship says 14, and you've done 2 or 3 checks and run through to make sure that there's actually 13 on the outside, that means it's booby-trapped. So, yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to show this thing off to you guys. Clearly, it still needs some work. I need some reverse thrust, like, really badly. So I will get working on that. Hopefully, like I said, I can start recording pretty soon. I'm going to try and finish up Dragon Age and Defiance, well, as best as possible, before I do anything else. So, yeah. Well, guys, that's it for me. I've done everything I wanted to do. Hopefully, I can get Outpost 603 recorded pretty soon. They're still working on this game. Like I said, I would like to wait for them to finish everything up. But, oh yeah, that's right, because the gravity is going in, like, all kinds of funky directions right now. I would like them to finish things up with the game before I actually started doing any recording, because they've been adding lots and lots of stuff recently. If I had to recommend somebody's channel to check out for updates and stuff like that, I would recommend Video Sage. I've kind of been watching some of his stuff and watching him play around with the game. Some of his attempted story content is definitely attempted story content. Let's put it like that. So, yeah. But otherwise, guys, that's really all I had. So I'm done for the day. And to that, guys, I'm going to say sayonara.